So many people ask me a lot of times, like, Alex, I want to make money, I'm young, I'm starting out, how do I do it? And just in my own experience, what I found out, because I come from, a poor background, I didn't have money, I grew up wanting to make money. So I always ask that question myself, like, so how do I make money? How can I make money? When I look back now and I'm in this really great financial position, I'm like, okay, how did I do that?
A lot of people are addicted to that paycheck. They're so afraid to venture out on their own and not have the security of that paycheck. A lot of times we say, if you have a full-time job, keep your full-time job, start a part-time business and work it and work it and work it. Look at what you do in your spare time. And people go, I have no spare time. Well, yes, you do. If you broke it out, how much are you watching TV? How much are you on your iPhone, playing video games, doing things that really are not important? And take that time and channel it into the business that you want to create.
It's a mindset that is baked into you the wrong way ever since you're a kid.
Yeah.
You look at your parents, you look at the world, you look at this. It's very hard to unlearn that stuff.
It is. And they say like 50% of businesses fail. And I think what happens for a lot of first-time business owners, they're coming out of a job. So they're coming out of an employee mindset. And I know this one guy, for example, in Phoenix, Arizona, and he decided he was going to start his own business. And he had been an employee all his life. So what's the first thing he does? He goes and rents a nice office space. Then he buys all the nice furniture. Then he gets a secretary. He hasn't made not $1. And he spends all this because he thinks that's what an entrepreneur looks like. Versus, go make the money first, then go rent your office. If you even need an office, start out of your home. We all started, all the entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs I know, all started out of their home. Cash Flow board game was created on our dining room table.
Right.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad was written in our house. So I think that employee mindset, and if you are an employee, and if you are an employee, if you can get that entrepreneurial mindset even as an employee, oh my gosh, you're going to be so much more valuable to the owner of your company because you're going to think the way they think.
You're under a spell of money won't make you happy. No, dude, you're not happy now. Money buys groceries, okay? Money takes care of medical bills. I mean, this idea, this is the number one thing I hear from people. Well, I don't need to be rich. Dude, you don't even know what you're talking about. You do need to be rich. Poor people are selfish. People that just get by are selfish. You're selfish because you're always talking about yourself. Listen to what the guy says. I said, man, you need to get rich, man. No, I don't need to get rich. Dude, you talking you. But what about your church? What about the community? Okay? What about all the little kids you could help? Rich people can literally change the world. Poor people cannot do that. Okay? Because they're too consumed with their own 24 inches around them. I need to eat.
Most of you have not attained material wealth because you've stayed in your comfort zone. Every family has an aunt, an uncle, a grandfather that went out and lost a family fortune, right? Uncle Harry, crazy Harry, he lost 20,000, 50,000, a million, whatever the number is. Well, that resonates in you, in your brain. And then you hear another one. Your roommate in college, he's got an Uncle Harry. So pretty soon, the only input that you have is people losing their family fortune. That affects you. You then live within your comfort zone. You don't take risks.
I took a job that I hated. Hated it, dude. I hated it for 2 years until I quit fighting it. And I said, I'm gonna get good at this job, and then I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave a job I hate. One of the best things I've ever done in my whole life was learn to get great at something you hate. If you can't do the things you hate, dude, I do things every single day I don't want to do. I like to sleep in for another hour today. There's a lot of things I don't like making sales calls. I don't like calling. I'm pitching CNBC on this thing right now. I don't like pitching people. I don't like the audition process.
You hang out with monkeys, your life becomes a circus. For the most part, you are hanging, chilling with monkeys. If you go to a sports bar and you sit around drinking, belching, fart with your mates, that's where you're going to be 20 years from now. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future.
Going through my journey in life and being here right now and being able to recall backwards, I can for sure see one of the most, and this is the reason we have the life that we have now, one of the most important things that you can do for yourself is to create a vision for yourself. To who are you gonna be in 5 years? What does your life look like? Who's your partner? Who are your friends? Where do you live? Actually taking the time to think about the future in that way, it can really change your life. Because most people are just, they end up just being their circumstances. Oh, I'm here in the ghetto, or I'm here in Russia, or I'm here in this third world country, I will never get out. However, you can actually there's so many stories, as you know, as we all know, where people are able to create miraculous changes in their life once they really set out the vision for themselves of what they want to achieve. And I think the greatest leaders that we ever saw, you know, Martin Luther King or Gandhi or any of these people, or even Steve Jobs on the corporate level, what do these old people have? They had a strong vision and belief about the future that they are gonna create and manifest, or are gonna be part of and create. So many of us are playing small. I'm not telling you to be even Gandhi or Steve Jobs, but just be a bigger version of yourself. You know, just think of how can you make your life better, and then reverse engineer of the steps you need to take to get there. When I started making money is when I stopped thinking about myself, and I started thinking, okay, how can I deliver value to this world? What can I do for other people? Because no one's gonna, like I said in that video, no one cares about you trying to make money. Right?
No one cares about your selfish interests.
Yeah, but when you're thinking, okay, how do I make money? You're thinking of yourself. You're thinking, how do I make money? But that's not a really good question to ask, because a really good question to ask is, how do I make money? Well, you make money by, people will give you money if you give them some sort of value. And the way I see really money, like the currency, I see it as like the bill itself, is like, it's a transfer of value, right? So that's how I really see it. So if I deliver value to other people in some way, I will make money. And if you look at anybody who's doing well, you will see them really trying to deliver value as much as possible to their customers. Before we had money, after I got fired from the bank and we're just kind of unemployed, we have no money, but you're like, I want to be an entrepreneur. How can I get there? I want to have money. I want to have this lifestyle. I want to live the 4-hour work week. Tony Robbins was kind of one of the first people that was really inspirational in terms of, you know, you really can change and live a different life by itself, you know, and it's really by your mindset. And he talks about this thing about like the power hour in the morning or something like that, where your first hour in the morning should really be inspiring. And one of those things you should do is you should go out and get active and go for a gratefulness walk. So gratefulness walk, you can do it alone. We used to go out in the mornings and go out and just say things we're grateful for, but also add in things that we didn't have that we're grateful for as well. So we would say we're really grateful that we have this really successful business, that we travel the world, that we're financially successful, all that stuff, even the car we have. Those kind of activities really gives the mindset to still go after the things. I really call them kind of mind anchors. You're just telling your mind to what to focus on, and that's it. And then you then still have to take the action. It's not like The Secret and things are gonna appear, right? You're just kind of anchoring and putting a new tune into your mind and guidance kind of missile. And then you take the action, and then just when you're taking the actions, you know what you need to focus on. We're always thinking a lot of times, how can we get, right? But we forget to what we actually have. And a lot of times we have a lot. And before we can get, we have to kind of just look at and be grateful for what we have. But also being grateful for things that we don't have yet, but we're gonna have in our lives. You're kind of like almost tricking your mind.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think just for happiness overall, it's having understanding. You can be the richest, the healthiest, whatever person in the world, but if you don't see that, and I'm sure you met so many people who are really successful, right? Or, you know, in maybe financially, or they may be really successful in terms of the friends that they have and everything that, but if they don't see that, if they don't have the gratitude for what they have, then it's empty, then they don't have it. So that's why it's so important to practice it and kind of enable it.
Evening, sugar. Hey, like we always start all of our calls, I hope that brought you some sense of inspiration, some motivation this evening to put you in the right mindset. Because that's where we need to be, guys. We need to be in the right mindset every time we get on one of these calls, every time we take a look at a chart, every time we're doing an analysis, every time we're getting ready to make a decision and take some action. We got to be in the right frame of mind. So as we start all of our calls, I like to say, hey, NSA. Right? And it's just to let you know that I am not a licensed financial advisor. We are not here to give you financial advice as to how to invest your personal finances. We are simply here to give you some insight, some information based on the experiences that we have, right? Based on the information that we've learned, based on the resources that we've come across, based on the tools and the technology, right? That we've been practicing along throughout our journey. And so as we like to start all of these calls, I just wanted to start off with our daily affirmation. I am so thankful and grateful now that I have patience and discipline so that I am a master trader. And those two things, as you all know, we're going to develop and we need as a life skill, not only to be a master trader, but to be happy in our lives and to be able to be profitable in these charts. All right. So as all of our calls are started, I'd like to welcome you all to the Harmonic Scanner 52 Weeks to Freedom course, guys. Hey, sugar. As you all know, my name is Jacqueline Lopez. I am the creator of the Milwaukee Sauce. I am also one of the co-creators of the 52 Weeks to Freedom course, and I am your first honored educator. And so as we get these calls started, I just wanted to welcome you all to the call so that you guys are prepared for what's in store. And this call is going to be like all the others. We're going to be moving at a rapid rate. But feel free to jump in anytime, guys, because as you know, this is a conversation and not a lecture. And so we're going to get started right here, right now. All right, guys. I need to know. Can you help me? Does anybody know? What are the 8 major currencies? Put them in the chat. Unmute your line. Let me know. Do you all know what they are? All right. I take your silence as this call is going to be very beneficial to you all because I'm going to share a whole lot of information as it relates to the different currencies and how we can go ahead and utilize the information that I'm going to share with you all on how to be profitable in the marketplace. So here you go, guys. Screenshot it so that you have it. That way you have access to it. And just out of curiosity, is anyone on the call familiar with this circle, this breakdown of the 8 major pairs? And as you can see, their New Zealand dollar, the Australian dollar, the Canadian dollar, the Great Britain pound, the Japanese yen, the euro, the United States dollar, and the Swiss franc. It is imperative. It is extremely important that you all learn these 8 major currencies because they are the foundation for all of the currencies And you'll learn more about it as we move forward this evening. All right? Now, this particular wheel, ooh, currency strength heat wave. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And if you aren't familiar with it, you all should become familiar with it, because it's going to help you along the way. And I'll get into it as we progress throughout the class. All right, so first things first, screenshot it, make notes of it, because this is going to come in very handy when you're learning and understanding how the currencies work. Okay? Now, I don't know how y'all drew a line on my screen like that. Let me see. Can I take that off? Does anybody know how to delete that off? Okay, don't worry about it. We just keep on moving. Right? All right, check it out. So the appropriate trading sessions. We all know that there's 4 trading sessions that we trade on every single day, right? We know that we have the Sydney session, which is the session that starts off each work week, each trading day, right? We also know that the Sydney session then transitions right into the Asian session, followed up by the London session, and completing our day strong with the New York session, right? That's information that everybody knows. That's not nothing new. That's information that's shared. But what is failed to be realized, or what is failed to be recognized and pointed out, is that each session has individual currencies that are going to be more active and have more volume in them, which means they're going to have more currency strength, right? And we'll get into learning what that means. But there's going to be some more movement in the market during those sessions, depending on the currencies that are moving, that are popular in each one of the sessions. And that's the reason why when you start looking at the harmonic scanner, or if you're looking at levels, or if you're looking at swipe trades or swipe coin, or any of these other different platforms and products that we have access to, you'll notice that there are certain times of the day that you will only find certain pairs being called. And this is the reason why. It's because there are certain pairs that are moving more frequently, more heavily, more strongly than others, because it is their primary session. It is the session in which their banking hours are operating. And if you notice, I took the liberty of sharing with you that the Sydney session, when it opens at 9 a.m. Monday in Wellington, New Zealand, it is actually Sunday for us. So you need to be able to recognize that although it's Sunday for us, it is actually Monday morning in New Zealand. That's the reason why New Zealand, the New Zealand dollar starts moving when the market first opens up. And if you notice, I put them in a certain order so that you recognize that if New Zealand opens first, then odd follows. Then you notice the actual pattern of the currencies. So it goes New Zealand, then odd. Then you'll notice that the Asian session will open. Then you'll start to see JPY. Then you'll notice that will carry on for some time. Then you'll get London session open. Then you start to see the EUR. You start to see the Swiss franc. You start to see GBP start moving. Then once you start seeing the overlapping of the London session starting to close, and you're seeing the New York session starting to open, now you're starting to see CAD and US dollar starting to move. And if you start recognizing that pattern in the work week, because that's really what that is, it's the bank's work week that we're recognizing, that we're paying attention to, so that it affects how we actually place our trades. is going to become very important to you so that you can recognize what sessions should you be trading in, which sessions are going to be more profitable to you based on the currency that you or the currency pairs that your particular study group might be taking a look at. All of these things are factors that will come in handy as you start to develop and understand and choose and decide which currency pair is going to be the one that is going to be your primary currency. It's going to be the pair that you're going to learn and know better than all the rest. It's the one that you should make $100,000 on before you move on to the next. But we're helping you, we're giving you guidelines, instructions, and we're giving you strategies that you can use to help you make those type of informed decisions. All right? So hopefully you guys all got that. You made a screenshot of it, or you're taking very good notes. Because as we all know, note takers is definitely money makers. All right? All right, now. I created this spreadsheet, and if you notice, it's color coded identical to that wheel that you saw when I originally introduced you to the 8 major currencies, right? And as some of you have already alluded to, it is also in direct relationship to the currency heat wave, right? And I'm going to show you that currency heat wave this evening. I'm going to actually break it down to you so you understand it very well. And then we're going to make sure that it is also a tool that you can use as a part of your arsenal when you go to war with these charts. Because this is definitely a battle. Every time you go in, it's a battle to be won. But ultimately, we're trying to win the war. All right, so check it out. The way that you're going to read this is each one of your currencies or your currency pairs are broken up into a base and a quote. So the first currency that you see in each one of the pairs is your base. And that base is equal to the number 1. So what you're doing is you're trading one of your base for however many of your quote, which is the second currency in your pair. Does everybody understand that?
Yes. Yeah, I have a question on the base and quote. So if you have a base, let's say you have let me see here, CAD, for example. So you said you trade with the second, which is the quote. So how about when it? I'm looking at the matching here.
I'm gonna get into it. Just give me a minute. It's gonna all make sense in a minute. All I want you to realize is that there is a base and a quote every time you're looking at a currency pair. You're trading one currency for the other. And what this actual chart is going to show you is how to see the relationships and understand that there are only so many pairs of currency that are paired up with your majors outside of your exotic pairs. And I'm going to break all of that down for you right now. Just give me 1 second and it's going to make a whole lot more sense. If you notice, I have all 8 of your currency.
No, one, get out of my face. Get out of my face because you're pissing me off.
Hold on, I got to mute everybody. Let me mute everybody. All right, everybody's muted because I need y'all to catch this because I'm getting ready to share some nuggets with y'all so that y'all understand exactly how this works. So pay very, very close attention. Check it out. You have your 8 major currencies: AUD, CAD, Swiss franc, euro, pound, yen, New Zealand dollar, United States dollar. You also have them listed across the top. And if you notice, the way that you're going to read this is you're going from your base to your quote. And the reason why there are blank spaces is because those are not valid currency pair combinations. And I'll show you, and it'll make sense in a minute. If you notice, AUD, for example, the way you would read this would go AUD CAD, AUD Swiss franc, AUD JPY, AUD New Zealand, AUD US dollar, right? If you notice, if you read it down, AUD is only a quote when paired with these two, Euro and GBP. Now, there are 4 rules that everyone needs to be well aware of when paying attention to your currency pairs. Number 1, EUR, the euro, is always, I'm going to say it again, the euro is always a base. It is never a quote. If you notice, it's EUR AUD, EUR CAD, EUR Swiss franc, EUR GBP, EUR JPY, EUR NZD, EUR USD. It is always the base. It is never the quote. If you try and put it in TradingView, if you try and look for it, using it as the quote on any one of the platforms, you won't find it. Second rule, JPY. JPY is always, I'm going to say this again, JPY is always, it is always the quote. It is never the base. And if you notice, you go straight down, it's AUD JPY, it's CAD JPY, it's Swiss franc JPY, EUR JPY, GBP JPY, NZD JPY, USD JPY. It's always the quote. Third rule, GBP. GBP is always the base, except when paired with EUR. GBP is always the base, except when paired with EUR. And if you notice, I made EUR GBP the same color as GBP so that you would remember and recognize it at a quick glance. All right? Rule number 4, CHF, the franc, Mr. Wiki himself, right? That mighty franc is always the quote. It's always the quote, except when paired with JPY. And if you notice, it will give you CHF, JPY, which is the reason why I made it blue. Does everybody got all 4 of the currency pair rules? Excellent. All right. Now, the funny thing that I noticed is that there are a total of 28 currency pairs. And if you notice in your MetaTrader 4, they're all in your FX crosses. So unless you're pairing one of the majors with an exotic or with one of the other digital currencies, the cryptocurrencies, these are your 28 primary currency pairs. Does everybody understand that? All right. And if you notice, based on our study groups, based on our currency pairs that are assigned to each group, the 5 study groups are actually all monitoring a total of 25 of the currency pairs. And if you notice, I threw in 3 team wild cards. So that would allow all of us to be able to watch those 3 other pairs, so that we're actually watching as a team all 28 currency pairs. Does everybody understand that? Does everybody understand the power in that? Does everybody understand how, as a team, as a nation, as a community, not just locally, not just nationally, but globally, we can transform into a complete trading department, organization, in which we can actually have some impact on the market, because we're all watching multiple pairs at the exact same time, using the information that we've learned over the course of our 52-week journey, so that we then become the signals ourselves. We become professional traders, where we're trading against the market makers and those that manipulate the market. All right, y'all, I hope y'all understand the power of this. I hope you recognize how important this is. All right, now, check it out. How many people on the call has heard of or know exactly what currency strength is, or have heard of the Currency Strength Heatwave app? Anybody? I know there were 2 people, at least 2. All right. About 3. All right, great. So, guys, there is a such thing as currency strength. Now, the currency strength is really, how can I say this in the best way? I like to refer to currency strength as a tug of war, right? It's a tug of war between the buyers and the sellers in the market. And every time there's a currency pair that is paired up, there is a battle between those that are trying to buy and those that are trying to sell. So what I did was I created this little job aid to kind of give you a visual, because I'm a visual type of learner. And so if you really think about it, if the base in your currency pair is strong and the quote is weak, then the price will rise and you will see the market buy. All right? Now, if the base is weak and the quote is strong, then that means that there are less buyers in the market. There are more sellers in the market. So ultimately, price will sell. And if the base and the quote are similar, the same in strength, or very close in strength, then you will see the market consolidate. Does everybody understand that? It's going to make more sense when I show you how it all works. But I need it to be clear how it works before I show you that it works. All right? And with that being said, I'm going to show you something. Screenshot this, guys. If you don't have it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into the study groups so that you all have it, and those that aren't on the call have it as well. But it's going to come in very handy. You're going to want to post it in your office, post it wherever you're trading at, so that you can actually see it as a reminder of what's actually taking place and what's happening in the market. Because you need to really understand what's taking place in order to be successful at this. Otherwise, you're just gambling. It's a hit and a miss. You know, it's a luck of the draw. And that's not what we're here for. We're here to be successful traders, investors, so that we can actually multiply our money successfully. All right. So, check it out. I am going to share my screen. Right off my phone. I'll show y'all. There is an app called the Currency Heatwave app. Funny little fire symbol, right? And if you notice, that Currency Heatwave app, that particular wheel that I showed you with the 8 major currencies is actually live, happening in real time, right? And what this app does is it actually monitors the currency levels, right, in the World Bank. What happened? Why my video stopped sharing? Let's see. Hold on, guys. Let me see what happened. Why it stopped sharing on me? Zoom. Here we go. Oh, because my phone, it locked on me. Sorry, guys. I forgot about that. I can't let it lock. All right, so check it out. If you notice, in real time, the Currency Heatwave app is actually monitoring the levels of each one of the major currencies within the global market. So it monitors how much of each one of the currencies is being moved in the market at multiple time frames, right? And it actually gives you the option to show you how the currency strength is moving, or those currencies are actually trading on different time frames. And then it shows you, obviously, right, where the green arm is. It's telling you that's the strongest currency, right? Where the red arm is, that's the weakest currency, right? I'm just going over how the app kind of works. But what's most important about the app for purposes of this call is the tab that says strength at the bottom. If you click on it, it's actually going to pull up a series of little icons, little gauges, right? And it's actually gauging and actually showing you based on a numerical number, right, the level of strength of each one of the currencies. And if you notice, odd is the weakest at 1.43 or 1.57, 29. You see it moving, right? And what? The US dollar. No, the Swiss franc. The Swiss franc is the strongest. Does everybody see that? Come on now, y'all gotta talk to me now. Y'all only gonna get out of these classes what you put into it. Y'all gonna have to give me some feedback, right? Like, I ain't gonna bite y'all. Y'all can talk. You can unmute your lines, like I said at the beginning of the call. I don't do lectures, guys, right? I mean, I can do it, but it's gonna be more effective to you if you talk back to me, so that we can help each other through the process, right? So that I understand that I'm giving you some value, so that you understand what's actually happening, so that before I move on. Because if I start to move on and you ain't getting this, you're going to be left lost. Right? All right, so there is the question. So would you want to sell odd franc? So what was the rule, right? That if the quote was strong, then it was sell, correct? Everybody's in agreement?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
All right, check it out. We're gonna check it. Let's just validate it, right? Let's see if it's actual. What was that? What pair was that? All franc?
All franc.
FX crosses. Oh, it might be already in there. Where is it? There it is. All franc chart. What is it doing? Is it not selling?
No.
And that's just on currency strength. I ain't use no indicators. I ain't use no products. All I did was simply go into an app that tells me the level of the currency strength, and based just on that, I was able to predict whether or not a particular pair was buying or selling. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So now, I want you all to understand that based on that, if we go back to our PowerPoint, you can understand how important, how powerful currency strength and this particular job aid is for you outside of anything else. This is pure price action at its finest. Right? I'm giving it to you right down to the raw. And the reason why I did it that way is because I wanted to show you that I'm giving you a job aid in which you can actually print out, laminate, and use a dry erase marker on it, right? And you can put in right here the pair. Odd franc. And you could have wrote in here the strength of odd, the strength of franc, and based on your currency strength tug of war, what happens? You already know what happens. Because the tug of war already told you. All you had to do was come in here and validate it. And the more you practice it and the more that you practice it, guess what? You're going to know it by heart. So you're going to be able to look at the chart and say, ooh, I know what's happening. The quote must be strong. Must be a lot of sellers in the market. Ooh, The base must be strong. It must be a lot of buyers in the market. Ooh, it's a tug of war. They don't know what's going on. It's in consolidation. I got to wait for the breakout because that means it's only going to tell me which direction it's going to go in. Did the buyers win or did the sellers win? That's what we're waiting to find out. So make sure that you screenshot this. Like I said, I'm going to share it into the study groups so that everybody has it. But just based on that, guys, you don't need nothing other than that. But think about it. Like I said, this is building blocks. So I'm showing you how currency strength works, how price action works. And then as we continue to build on, you're going to understand how all of the pieces to the puzzle go together. So at the end of this thing, you have this pretty picture that you can sit back and take a look at and be able to envision your vision board of what your life looks like. All right? So check it out. In addition to currency strength, there is something that's called currency correlation, right? And it's important that you realize that there is a relationship between these different currencies and the way that they move and how it impacts or affects the other currencies. So this is a chart that will help you so that as you're studying your currency pairs, then you'll be able to recognize that as one currency moves in one direction, if you recognize that there is a correlating pair that is moving in a similar direction, then there is ultimately going to be a reaction in the market that is going to cause another pair to have some impact in the direction of the trade. And as you study these relationships, you'll understand how important they are. So that when you see a signal coming from a platform, if you know it goes against one of your rules, then you just simply don't take that trade. You don't have to trade every trade. Don't be greedy. Be smart. Live to trade another day. Right? And as we start to study these currencies and the currency pairs that we've been assigned in our study groups, then you'll start to learn other relationships amongst the pairs. We'll be able to test, is the information that we're provided accurate? Are you seeing other relationships between other pairs? Are you starting to recognize that these relationships also impact other financial markets, like stocks or commodities, right? What happens if the US dollar moves? Then how does that impact all of the other financial markets around the world? We see that, we notice that, we recognize that as a consumer, we just don't understand what's actually impacting the market and what's actually happening behind closed doors. And we never knew that we could actually make some money and become profitable, actually develop some generational wealth, not just a few pennies, not a couple of crumbs, but some actual real money, right? By learning a simple skill set, because we already know that this thing is 1 to 10% skill set. The real battle is within yourself. That's the reason why I start all of the calls with motivation, with some type of mindset, some type of way to get you into the right frame of mind. Because if I don't get you there, then this is going to go over your head. You're going to get lost in the sauce. You're going to drown in it, right? You got to be in the right frame of mind. How many times have you self-sabotaged yourself when you were trying to trade because you weren't in the right frame of mind? I know I'm not the only one on this call that has done it. I'm just trying to stop you from continuing to make the same mistakes, because that's what's going to prevent you. That's what's going to stand in your way from being great. So as you know, these are the currency correlations. And if you realize, start to practice it, start to pay attention to it, start to realize the relationship between the pairs, so that as you're actually trading one currency and you're actually becoming very intimate with it, you actually understand how it impacts the market, how it impacts these other currencies, and how you can be profitable by understanding and learning that information. All right, now I want to make sure that everybody is clear on the Milwaukee Sauce, that everybody got the setup from last week's class. I did about a 2-hour class last week. I gave y'all the setup on the scanner. I gave you setup on your Android. I gave you the setup on your Apple. Right? I did see in some of the study groups that people were having a problem with actually saving their layout, so they were having to rebuild it over and over. So I can actually touch on that a little bit tonight. But there was one other thing that I did say that I was going to provide. So I did create you guys a bit of a job aid, so that you would have the breakdown of how to set it up should you need it. All right. So if you don't have it, screenshot it. Make sure you make a note of it, that this is the breakdown for the indicators that I use on the Milwaukee Sauce, right? And it's an exponential moving average. We know it's the number 3 as an input, color blue. We have a moving average, which is red, which is the 10. And as you know, in these classes and anytime that I'm training or teaching on the sauce, I talk in 3 and 10 crossings, because we're always looking for the cross, right? It's all about that cross, right? That mighty, mighty cross on that 3 and 10. Then we have that mighty moving average, which is the banker's moving average, which is that 50. And we talked a little bit about that 50 last week and how important it is, and you know, why we should take a look at it and how it shows us where there is some supply and demand and support and resistance. But there's some other things that it also points out to us, and we can take a look at it quickly before the call is over. We also have that relative strength index. You know, that input is 5. And I like to use the line that's measuring it as blue. And then we create the street in red by changing the length from 70 to 55 and from 30 to 45, making it tight. All right, and then we have the MACD, which is at default. We uncheck the histogram. We add our horizontal line on that 0 so that we can see how the relationship between the MACD and that mighty gold line. And then I make the main color blue on our mobile devices and on our setups on our desktop. And then the signal line, I make that red. And then the last, I guess, indicator or price indicator, we can call it, is the Hakanashi candles, to show us the overall trend. The strength of the trend is found in those Hakanashi candles. All right, does anybody have any questions about the actual setup of the sauce? No questions? All right. Okay, so check it out. Then this is what we're gonna do. Before we go, oops, I'm sorry guys. Before we go to our next steps, let's check it out. Let's go to the scanner so I can make sure y'all got this set up. All right, so once you build it on the screen, right, you got all your indicators on here and it's actually built. The way that you're gonna save it, it says save chart layout. Saves not just more particular, just some particular chart, it saves them all, right? So once you save it, it's actually gonna be saved there. So you can push that button, that little cloud, right? And it'll populate this save new chart layout. You can actually name it and then save it, right? Once you save it, it will populate here in load chart layout. And if you notice, mine is already here, Milwaukee Sauce. It's just on the last scan that I actually built it on. Once you click on it, it populates up on your screen, right? And then you just pick whichever one you want. I've never noticed that before. Anybody ever had that before? This undefined? Are those scans that haven't come through yet?
I think that's what it is. I saw it earlier today, but I didn't really know, but it never loaded anything.
Okay. So that maybe that's something that they working on the back end. Let's see. Oh, look at that one, y'all. That was beautiful. On GBP CAD on the 1 hour. All right, so look, just for the sake of showing y'all the power of the sauce, right? Look right here. The cross happened right here. That's where you would have got the alert. All right. And if you notice, it crossed, the blue was on top, right? And it's on the candle right after the D. So it basically happened immediately. The move happened immediately after the scanner saw it. It entered you on this first entry here and never pulled back to the second entry of the shark, right? And when it crossed, if you notice, you would have actually seen it here. This candle would have been forming, and it would have been a market execution, right? And if you notice, from that cross up to the next cross, hold on, let's do it one more time. I want y'all to see how powerful this is. It's 141.8 pips in 18 hours, which is way past take profit 3. Everybody see that? Check it out.
Oh, yeah.
It's even higher than that if you got out at the height of it. And it actually happened faster at 156.4 pips in 9 hours before it started to actually pull back and go into consolidation before it dropped. Does everybody see that? Check this out, right? The blue was on top. It was above the street. The MACD blue was on top. That was a clear buy setup. But if you notice, look, it actually consolidated for 3 hours. Does everybody see that?
Yeah.
Right? Why?
Because it looks like the sellers were trying to get back in the market.
Even simpler than that. Look at the 50. So notice, if the scanner is showing you that the take profits are high supply and demand or support and resistance zones, look at it. It shot up. It tried to break, right, the 50. The next candle, it shot back down, right? The next candle, it tried to shoot back up. The following candle, it actually broke it, closed above it, retested it, and continued to the upside, which was a whole nother entry, or as a beginner was the safer entry, which still brought you here. Here, I'll give you another entry here. Check it out. Which still gives you off of the 50 125.3 pips in 5 hours, which is the height of it, or you could have took it to the cross, which is 106.407 pips in 14 hours. Same. But look how clear that is. Like, the blue is clearly on top. It's clearly above the street. And the blue is clearly on top. And the 50 is pushing the candles up. And check it out. The one thing that ain't showing you is the Hakanashis. And look how beautiful the Hakanashis look. That's a buy all day. Y'all see that? I hope y'all see that.
Yes.
Jacqueline, are we supposed to wait until the goal line is on the top or the bottom before we take the trade, or we just knowing that if it's on the bottom, it's going to push the candles up, and if it's on the top, it's going to push the candles down?
Okay, great question. Right? So when you first learning the strategy, when you first learning as a beginner, the trend is your friend. You remember that in the academy, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So the 50, which is a reason why I'm glad you brought up the question, the 50 not only shows you where there's levels of support and resistance or supply and demand, but it also shows you where there is a sign of a reversal in the trend. So when the candles cross that 50, it's actually changing directions. And if you notice, when you actually back test it, you'll see it, which is the reason why we tell you to look for it, so that, look, when the candles crossed it going to the upside and the 50 was below it, it continued to push them to the upside, right? But once it crossed them again and it started to be on top of them, the candles now are pushing to the downside. And then they cross again and they push up, and then they cross again and they push down, and they keep going down till they cross again. And look, then they consolidate pretty much, right? Then they go down, right? And they consolidate, and then they go up, then they come down, then look, breakout, boom, up, come back to it, up, breakout again. Look, push down, pull up, push down. So as a beginner, you want to realize where that 50 is, because if you don't, if you trade against it, you're trading in a pullback. And if you don't realize that, then you'll expect more pips than what the pullback might be able to give you. You might think that pullback is actually a reversal, and you could potentially blow your account. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's safer as a beginner to look for the setups like this. Where you see the candles actually break the 50, and then look, it retests the 50 and then trades. So if you remember through your studies, break, break, close, retest, trade, right? So it's breaking on that long engulfing, right? It broke it, it closed, it retests the 50, and it sold. Now look, it consolidated right here for several hours. It didn't do much price movement, but it was still steady on the downward trend. And if you notice, based on the sauce, look, the cross happened here. As you get more advanced, obviously it's going to help you better, right? So look, check it out. The cross happened here. The red is on top, but the 50 is underneath it. And it's running close, which lets me believe that there's going to be some consolidation that's going to happen before the breakout comes. Now, is the breakout going to go up or is the breakout going to go down? But then look at where the street is. That RSI is clearly below the street. It's clearly on the sell side. And then look, when you first noticed it, if you look at the MACD, the blue is still on the top, but you notice that we're waiting for the cross on the MACD. Does everybody see that?
Yeah.
Right? So, right? If you're more advanced, you would see that and you'd be like, well, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's still kind of funky down here. This MACD ain't showed me that the reversal of the trend has actually happened yet. So I will wait for the next candle. Okay, now the next candle happened. Now I'm in this candle. And I shift the vertical line over. Now I'm looking at it here. And this candle is happening, right? This candle has closed. Now this, right? So now I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, okay, it's right on the 50 now. But look, check it out. It's under the street. But look, that MACD still ain't crossed over yet, but it's real close. Now we're talking about almost a kiss and cross. Right? Okay. It still ain't quite ready yet. It ain't broke that 50. All right, I'm gonna wait till the next candle to be safe. Oops, it done broke the 50. It done closed the 50. And it's under the street. And now the MACD has now crossed with the red being on top. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
Which is a clear indication of a sale. And if you get in right here with a market execution, right, wherever it is in this candle, let's just say, boom, the market shoots you in, you riding this thing. Now look, mind you, you're going to be in consolidation on this particular pair, on this trade for how many hours? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, still indicating sell. 9. Oh, did it just refresh my page? It did refresh my page. Did y'all see that? Wait a minute now, what's happening? They don't want me to give y'all the sauce. What's happening? What's happening with that? Let's see. I'm giving back my scanner now. Stop playing. Has y'all scanner been acting funny today?
For a couple of days, it was acting funny.
Mine was acting funny all day today.
Ah, man, what is going on? I thought it was just me today.
It was more on my phone than on my laptop, but it's definitely been giving me a problem.
Okay, well, check it out. Y'all seen it, right? Y'all seen the importance of it. I don't know what's going on with the scanner. I don't know if it's my computer or I don't know what's happening. Here, let's see if we can open up the window. Oh, we got alerts going on. What pair was that? That was GBP CAD, wasn't it? I think it was CAD. It was. Boom, boom. There we go. Saw the problem. Okay, scanner don't want to show us. I can still show y'all. You know what I'm saying? Where'd it come in? We got in right here, right? This candle. We got in, boom. We in consolidation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? And then it starts to drop. That's 11 hours right there, and it's only went 32 pips, right? That's your 30 pips right there in 11 hours, and it looked like it really ain't moved at all. But then look where the breakout happens. And check it out. In a day and 7 hours, you've made 165 pips. All from being patient and having some discipline. Right? And how pretty of a picture is that? All you gotta know is red on top, sell. And literally, check it out. The red indicator is on top. The red streak is on top. The red MACD is on top. Sell. Right? If the blue is on top, the blue is on top, the blue is on top, buy. Look at this. Look right here. Here's the buy right here. Look at that, right there from the cross. Blue on top, blue on top, blue on top, right? More advanced trader would have took it even though the 50 was running right there. All the signs are there. As you advance, you learn how, right? You jump in right here. And you already up 141 pips in 17 hours. At the height of it, 157.9 in 8 hours. Who don't want to make that? From cross to cross. On the Milwaukee Sauce, I can go up, I can go down from cross to cross. I can catch 157 right here and then catch it back down right here. All you gotta do is practice. Follow the rules. Look for the setups. Be patient and develop some discipline. All right, guys. I know we're a little past the hour. So I want to make sure that I gave y'all some value this evening. Make sure that y'all memorizing them currency strength colors and rules, right? That's going to come in handy. It's going to be very important. Now, you don't have to use the currency heat wave, right? But it's a way that you can use it. It's a tool that you can use. There are other indicators that you can use, that I use, right? That others use to actually monitor and keep track of the currency strength. But I wanted to show you the power of the strength and how you can use it in your trading, right? Also, keep studying the currency pairs, the appropriate sessions, those correlations, the relationships between the different pairs and the currencies themselves and how they impact each other, right? Study your assigned pairs, study the Milwaukee Sauce. Keep practicing that trading plan. Keep following it. Because eventually you're going to get from where we are now to your goal at the end of the 52 weeks. And always stay plugged into the study groups and the main Telegram group for any type of announcements, feedback, information, and potential setups. All right, guys. As you all know, I love you all. And I hope you have a profitable week. And we'll be diving into some more information, and I'll be blowing your mind each week as we continue to move forward and put these things together so that you too can become a professional, profitable investor. All right, guys. I hope y'all had some information and some value that y'all took away from the call. Y'all have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Night.
Thank you, Jack.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.